Hey, what's going on folks? My name's Gray, this is Consoletronics, and today I want to dispel a few myths. When most gamers think of fans of mecha, they conjure up images in their heads of people who are into guns and like to insert pieces of metal into themselves, like that scene in Tetsuo, the Iron Man. Well, today I shine a light into this too often overlooked genre of gaming and prove to you that many of these games are much more accessible and enjoyable than most of you first thought, with my look at the top 10 giant robot games.
I am the modern man.
Presented by Sega.
We kick off this list with some Sega arcade action with Virtual On Cyber Troopers, which had a pretty decent port to the Sega Saturn when you consider it wasn't exactly a powerhouse in 3D gaming. But what it lacked in looks, it made up for in personality. The version you see here is Virtual On Mars on the PS2, because most people don't even know it exists. But there's something about the Saturn version which keeps me coming back. I said it then and I'll say it now. It's a flawed masterpiece of a game.
Parts made in Japan. Secret, I got it.
Hour 6, jumping. Hour 6, jump complete.
Arrow 6.
Fire 1.
The first thing to say about the Front Mission series of tactical role-playing games from the same company responsible for Final Fantasy is that there's an awful bloody lot of them. However, only a handful have come to us from the land of the rising sun. Front Mission evolved on the 360 and PS3 was an attempt to find a wider audience for the franchise. Unfortunately, it wasn't very good. Front Mission 4 on the PS2 that you see running here stays true to the turn-based strategic roots of the franchise and is all the better for it. A great game in a great series.
Hey, she's a pretty good.
Identity.
Remember when Konami was considered the mutts nuts in the video game world? Everything they touched was pure gaming excellence. It seemed like those days would last forever. Well, put your disappointment over Silent Hills to one side and play Metal Warriors, a late release on the Super Nintendo. In other words, you've probably never heard of this Metroidvania-esque platform shooter, but take it from me, this game is as good as it gets on Nintendo's 16-bit.
My heart is human. My blood is boiling.
I know quite literally nothing about BattleTech, but Mech Assault here on the original Xbox is a very good game indeed. Run around inside a giant robot laying waste to whoever stands in your way. That sounds pretty good to me, and Mech Assault delivers. Also worth pointing out is the fact that this game was an early release to make full use of Xbox Live. I never did, as I was playing for the other team, having switched to the PS2 when the Dreamcast was canned. Novelty controllers have been around as long as there have been systems to plug them into, from paddles to flight sticks, steering wheels to Wiimotes. But the 40-odd button custom Steel Battalion controller with twin joysticks, foot pedals and a button just to wash your windows has to be the most ambitious yet. And without it, this is all you're gonna see. Capcom have to be given their dues for wanting to create a realistic as possible mech experience. It's just a shame you have to remodel your living room every time you want to play it. A big boy's toy for those of us who remember things like Zoids or wanted to pilot the Millennium Falcon as kids. Assault Suit Lanos 2 on the Sega Saturn isn't a name which will ring bells with a lot of people, but many old Mega Drive or Genesis owners might recall the first game. It was known as Target Earth, a rock-hard platform game that never saw official release in Europe, but I had it and liked it enough to make Part 2 the first import game I'd get for my Saturn. It's not often a game you've never heard of that cost you £1.50 can prove to hold your interest as much as Chromehounds has held mine, but this is a game brought to us by From Software, who are eating high off the hog right now because of games like Dark Souls and Bloodborne, among others. Unfortunately, Chromehounds is no longer supported online, and despite its wafer-thin single-player mode, it's still worth tracking down a copy. If we've learned anything today, it's that giant robots like a scrap. So enter Capcom with their 2D beat-em-up Cyberbots Full Metal Madness. It puzzles me why this game never saw official release outside Japan, and puzzles me further why more people aren't even aware of it. Released on Saturn and PlayStation 1, the Saturn version is superior, but it requires the RAM cartridge, so beware. No, I haven't included the wrong footage. This Squaresoft RPG has you controlling a motley crew of adventurers who also pilot mobile suits in some spectacular mech-on-mech violence. In a baffling storyline involving aliens, pirates, and the token love story we've all come to expect in these kind of games. In 1998, when this game was released, I made a bold statement. I said Xenogears was better than Final Fantasy VII. In reflection, looking back at it now, I stand by that comment.
I'm not a robot without emotions.
Back in the year 2000, as the gaming world waited for the release of the PlayStation 2, I remember all my friends excited, counting the moments until they could get their sweaty mitts on Silent Hill 2 and Metal Gear Solid 2. But me, I was more interested in this. Zone of Enders. The thought of a giant robot cyberpunk affair from Hideo Kojima gave me goosebumps. And while it and its sequel didn't uproot any trees sales-wise in the West, it's still a great game that, while far from perfect, is still in my top 10 PS2 games of all time. The Armored Core series of video games have been something of a guilty pleasure of mine for many years now, going right back to the days of the PlayStation 1. Yet its reputation as a hardcore series, reserved only for those steeped in mecha culture, is undeserved. I'm not known for tactics or finesse with games like these. I burst right out into the open, all guns blazing, and I seem to do just fine. Most of the time anyway. So if Armored Core has been on your gaming blacklist over the years, maybe it's time you gave it a go. After all, you have nothing to lose but your sanity. When the men most directly responsible for the success of a little game called Call of Duty announced they've formed their own company and are releasing a first-person shooter of their own design, you sit up and take notice. Titanfall ticks all the right boxes in the categories that matter. It has its fans and of course its detractors. But with talks at an advanced stage of a sequel on the horizon, the Titanfall franchise is definitely here to stay. The fact that I'm a Michael Bay apologist should tell you just how big a Transformers fan I am, but for years the only game we had was one on the Commodore 64. Now it almost feels like the market's oversaturated with games based on the movies or the unrelated animated series from Armada onwards. There's even a Japanese exclusive PS2 title that very weirdly has completely English voice acting. And with Hasbro not shy in going back to the nostalgia well time and time again, it seems to be plenty more of them in the future, and I'll be there to play them all.
If you see me acting strangely, don't be.
Yeah, how many of you saw this one coming? Let me tell you something. Mobile Suit Gundam is official tissue. It's the originator. Without Gundam, there would be no Transformers, no Voltron, no Macross, which along with other unrelated shows got spliced together to form BattleTech. Mobile Suit Gundam started in '79 and continues to go from strength to strength. True, it seems like there are more Gundam video games than there are stars in the sky, but whether you're a fan or not, or have just picked up a few games on import because they're cheap. I recently uploaded a video showing off some of the better games you can get in this long-running space opera, but the one on display here is the really rather excellent Zeonic Front on PlayStation 2, where you control the baddies for a change. So in closing, can I just say that Char Aznavour is a gangster and I rocks with him heavy, and the Gundam universe is the best giant robot franchise in gaming, bar none. Hail Zeon! So there we have it folks, this has been my look at the top 10 giant robot games. Did you agree with it? Or maybe, did I help encourage you to try some of the games I showed off here? Let me know in the comment section down below. So my name is Gray, this is Consoletronics, and stay tuned for the best video game related content on YouTube. Thanks for watching.